Hello, I'm Dr. Paul, and this is my beautiful wife, Lynn. And today we're going to discuss why we recommend that you add plasma energy station water to your laundry.
Okay, and so as you may have remembered in other videos, I've always shown that our plasma energy station is sent to you like this. It's 16 vials, and this is how we send it, warm door to warm door. And when it's winter time, we send it in, we consolidate the 16 vials into 4 large BPA-free plastic vials, which will not break if they freeze. And if you're outside of the country, you will receive them in a pair of pads that have been thoroughly soaked and then completely dried and then encased in plastic and covered with plastic packing tape. So those are the ways that you would receive it. Now, what we're going to talk about today is I got an email from a woman in Canada who sent me an article, and she said, you know, I hear you all the time saying, take some of your plasma energy station water, take a cup or 2 of it and add it to a rinse cycle in your laundry, and it can be for clothing, sheets, towels, whatever you like. But let it sit there for an hour or 2 and then go ahead and spin the clothes dry and dry the clothing. Now, Paul, when they do that, how long is that plasma energy going to last in the clothing?
It'll be there longer than we will be here.
And probably longer than the clothing will last, right?
Right.
Okay. And what if they wash it more than once? Is that a problem?
It's not a problem. It doesn't wash out.
Okay, and if they add more plasma energy to the laundry and that was already done, that's not a problem.
That's not a problem either, no.
Okay, so we want to talk about some of the chemicals that are in clothing. And we're not only what we eat, but we are what we wear. And the U.S. apparel market has, in 2016, it was a sales of $350 billion, so it's a huge market. And the average household spends 4% of their income on clothing, which is more than a third of what was spent on food. Now, those statistics might be changing a little bit with all the flooding and changing in planting and things that have happened, but if you look in any department store or clothing retailer for labels that say certified organic cotton, certified organic wool, or fair trade, you're not going to find much clothing. There are some online and retail clothing that manufacturers that offer non-sweatshop natural fiber and organic clothes, accessories, and textiles. And they're Patagonia, Packed, Under the Canopy, Fiber Shed, Savory Institute, TS Designs, Maggie's Organics, Indigenous, Hempies, and there are more. You're going to have to search them out online or wherever you might like to shop. Synthetic fibers in clothing and textiles pollute the environment, the ocean, and the food chain. These are called wrinkle resistant, durable, and easy to clean. They use large amounts of energy to produce and toxic chemicals. Polyester, which you find in a lot of clothing, is made from petroleum. Rayon semi-synthetic also comes from wood pulp through the water and chemical process. Fleece fibers that you find in a lot of shirts and jackets and sheets and so forth pollute the natural environment with microplastics that do not biodegrade over time. And your natural wools and cottons will biodegrade over time. But these fibers pollute surface water, oceans. They're eaten and they bioaccumulate in fish and other marine life, and then we end up eating some of that fish.
Right.
Yeah, so finished apparel has large quantities of chemical substances, and now wastewater facilities are receiving a lot of microfibers daily. Particles can cause physical and chemical impacts, resulting in starvation and reproductive consequences in aquatic species as those are released into the water systems. Fleece jackets release an average of 1.7 grams of microfiber in every wash, and the older fleece jacket, synthetic fleece, will shed twice as much as the newer ones. Non-organic cotton is one of the most genetically engineered and chemically contaminated crops in the world. Over 90% of the cotton grown in the U.S. is genetically engineered, spliced with B1 toxin, and modified to survive spraying of the herbicide Roundup. You want to talk a little bit, doesn't that have glyphosate in it?
That is glyphosate, yes.
That is. Do you want to talk a little bit about glyphosate and
Well, glyphosate is a contaminant, and it's they spray the cotton fields with it, and that sprayed cotton is then squeezed into cottonseed oil, which is used in school cafeterias and added to livestock feeds that accumulates in their fats, and eventually we eat that. And so it comes through the chain all the way down to us. And therefore that spraying of the fields with the herbicide glyphosate ends up being a real danger to the end user, which happens to be the human who eats the cattle that were fed the oil products, the cottonseed meal. So that's a big danger with the glyphosate.
Okay, and let me continue with some of the information here. GMO cotton is grown on over 70 million acres around the world, and it accounts for 25% of global insecticide sales. These pesticides linger when they're worn next to the skin. Fish, marine life, and wildlife surrounding or downstream from cotton fields also suffer from the pesticide pollution. Routine spraying of cotton fields with herbicides plus application of chemical fertilizers kill the soil fertility and destroy the soil's ability to infiltrate and store rainwater and sequester carbon from the atmosphere. Paul, there are some farmers that are using plasma energy on their farms and having some really successful results. Do you want to add anything to that?
Well, what the plasma energy does is the CO2 plasmatic field breaks up the glyphosate and frees the phosphorus molecule from the compound. And it makes the with the phosphorus molecule out of there, it makes the glyphosate harmless, and it frees up the phosphorus in a non-toxic manner so that it is then available for use by the body. So that's how the CO2 GANS water is used to make the glyphosate into a beneficial rather than a harmful product.
Okay, and some of the things that we've read about and have heard from other people working with plasma energy is that when farmers have used this on their fields, what has happened to the neighboring farms?
The neighboring farms have gotten the same benefit as the farmer who used it. Now, it will affect the neighboring farms, but beyond that, as those farms grow and the plasma energy spreads, it will have a growing effect. And so the plasma energy doesn't just lay there and die. it remains active.
And so generally, a lot of these farms are having a lot more production.
They're having a lot more production, and the neighbors are having more production, and the neighbors don't know where it came from.
Yeah, they may not even know why they have more this year.
Right.
So, okay, and cotton byproducts, as Paul mentioned, such as the cottonseed oil, and cotton gin trash, are sold and consumed in ingredients in animal feed and human food. The pesticide, the cottonseed oil is routinely laced in food products, from vitamins to potato chips, and even is sometimes added to some olive oils. The chemical-intensive clothing poses a danger to our health because our skin is our largest organ. And the job of our skin is to protect our internal organs, and the skin also acts as a conduit or a way of entering the bloodstream through absorption. Chemicals and pesticides from synthetic materials and non-organic cotton can make their way into your body. Easy care garments are saturated by chemicals such as formaldehyde, triclosan, and pre-fluorinated chemicals to give clothes features such as antimicrobial, anti-odor, and anti-wrinkle. I'm really sad to hear that. My forehead says I don't iron. So, formaldehyde is used to eliminate wrinkle, static odor, and bacteria. It's highly toxic. It's known to cause cancer, skin ulcerations, heart palpitations, eczema, asthma, and other health issues. Pre-fluorinated chemicals, which make fabrics stain resistant, are cancer-causing agents. Triclosan is a chemical used to prevent the growth of bacteria on athletic clothing. Chemicals in easy care garments enter the bloodstream via the skin. Nanoparticles in consumer products are neither labeled nor safety tested. Then there's another big area. What women use as feminine hygiene products are considered medical devices, and manufacturers are not required to disclose ingredients. Cotton used in pads and tampons often contains pesticide residue and genetically modified ingredients. What looks like cotton can be bleached wood pulp, rayon made in a chemically intensive process. Toxic shock syndrome is caused by bacterial infection from Staphylococcus aureus because of superabsorbent tampons made of synthetic material, including rayon. Tampons with fragrance or anti-odor properties contain more chemicals that may be harmful to your health. There are safer alternatives to conventional feminine hygiene products, and they include organic tampons and pads. Now, what I suggest, I would be using the Plasma Energy Station water, and I keep it handy in a spray vial. When you're making separate containers of things, you can just take something from your mother source and put it in a little vial and put it in another, say, a spray bottle. Let's say you have clothing that's going to irritate your skin or has been. We have inflammation relief. That should help that, don't you think?
Yes, it'll make it feel much better.
Okay. And another thing that you might consider in adding to your laundry components might be the station water plus detox. What do you think about that?
Oh, I think that would be a good idea.
Okay, so those are just some of the ideas we want to give you, and why you repeatedly hear us say, add some of our plasma energy waters to the rinse cycle, let your clothing sit in it, and then spray it dry. Or spin it dry and go ahead and dry it in the dryer or outside if you're lucky enough to have sunshine and a clothesline.
Right.
Okay, so we thank you for watching this. You can find out much more at plasmaenergysolution.com. If you go to the shop headline on our homepage and click on products, you'll be able to scroll through the many videos that we're adding to give you a little information about each of the products we have. And that's plasmaenergysolution.com. Do you have anything to add?
I think that's covered it pretty well.
Okay.
The only thing I might say is, if you feel like you've gotten any value from this video, please give us a big thumbs up and share this with your friends and relatives. And if you would subscribe to this channel, you will get notification of upcoming videos. Hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time.